Okay, so this is the final video of the day. Hopefully. Let's talk about Semyon Varlamov, or Semyon Varlamov, excuse me. So he signed with the New York Islanders on a 4-year deal worth $5 million per year. And obviously this fills in a hole that was left by Robin Lehner when he went and signed with the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, the Islanders after this still have just over $8.5 million left in cap space, and they're going into the season obviously with Thomas Greiss as well, who has one more year left on his contract. Looking at Varlamov's numbers, well, first off, he's 6'2", 205 pounds, age 31, mind you. So this takes him to 35 years old, which isn't bad for a goaltender. Greiss will be done in another year, so maybe they can reevaluate that as well. Now, his numbers for last season weren't the most terrific. He had, in 49 games, he had a 2.87 goals against average and a .909 save percentage. Not horrible or anything. The season before that, in 51 games, he had a 2.68 goals against average and a .920 save percentage. A lot better. And he was pretty streaky during last season as well. It'd be really great, and then he'd fall off the marker for a while, and he'd come back and do well. So we'll see what happens with him in New York and see how that goes for 4 more years. But a good signing considering they lost Lehner and what was left out there. Petr Mrazek has re-signed with the Carolina Hurricanes for a 2-year deal worth $3.125 million. This is a pretty decent signing. Only 2 years, didn't give him too much term. I like it. Carolina still has just over $19.5 million. Of course, they have some bodies to re-sign on forward. They've got McGinn and Bishop. And of course, they have on defense, they have got Gustav Forling, the left shot defenseman who's 23 years old, who's an RFA. And, of course, Sebastian Aho. They have to match that deal that Montreal threw their way earlier today. And, yeah, there you have it. Now, Mrazek he's 27 years old. He's from the Czech Republic, 6'1", 190 pounds. So this will take him to the age of 29, not bad at all. And he had a good bounce back year for his career. He had a .914 save percentage and a 2.39 goals against with the Carolina Hurricanes this past season. In 11 games in the playoffs, he had a 2.73 goals against and a .894 save percentage. I can't believe it went that low. I know he got injured at one point in time. That's when McElhaney stepped in, but I thought his save percentage was higher for some reason. In any case, moving on. Let's talk about Colin Wilson, who re-signed with the Colorado Avalanche for a 1-year contract worth $2.6 million. That's a nice little deal for both for Colorado. Definitely so they still have just over $27 million left in cap space with no LTIR. By the way, Carolina, does Carolina have any LTIR? No, they don't. Oopsie. Back to Colorado. Right, so we're talking about Colin Wilson. Now, Colin Wilson is 29 years old. He's from Connecticut, 6'1", 221 pounds. And I'm pretty sure he's going to fill that third line center spot, maybe even fourth line duties for him there. Last season in 65 games, he had 12 goals and 27 points for a -6. That's kind of like high-end fourth line center, low-end third line center kind of numbers. In the playoffs last season in 12 games, he had 4 goals and 4 assists for 8 points. Not too bad at all. So that's a nice little signing. He really showed up in the playoffs for the Avalanche, and I guess they rewarded him That's a pretty good deal for a guy with 27 points. Maybe he signed for a little less than he might have gotten, a little bit less than he might have gotten on the open market. Moving on, let's talk about Brett Richey, who signed a one-year deal at for $1 million with the Boston Bruins. This is obviously a depth signing. Boston still has, by the way, just over $10 million in cap space with no guys on the LTIR. Now, Boston still has to re-sign 23-year-old Danton Heinen, who's an RFA with arbitration rights. And on defense, obviously, they've got 20-year-old Charlie McAvoy, who's going to cost a pretty penny, and 22-year-old Brandon Carlo as well. Now, Brett Richey is 26 years old, from Ontario, Canada, 6'4", big body, 220 pounds. He's definitely a Boston Bruins size kind of player. And last season with the Dallas Stars in 53 games, he had 4 goals and 6 points and was a -7. The season before that, in 71 games, 7 goals, 14 points, +1. He sounds like a fourth-line winger for Dallas. Maybe he steps up to the third line if they need him to. Now, also in Boston, Connor Clifton re-signs with them. Now, he didn't have to re-sign. He was a restricted free agent who still had 1 more year left on his deal. And he decided to re-up with Boston, because he was still on his entry-level contract at 1 more year at $725,000, but decided to re-up for 3 more years at $1 million per, which is a really good deal. He's a 24-year-old right-shot defenseman who ended up seeing a lot of ice time in the playoffs as well for Boston when he filled in for injuries. Now, he's from New Jersey. He's 5'11", 175 pounds. His numbers last season, he split them between the AHL and the NHL with the Bruins. In 19 games, he had 1 point and was a +5 for them during the regular season. But in the playoffs, he played 18 games. So he logged some minutes there, had 2 goals and 5 points, and was a +2. That's not bad. That's not bad for a depth defenseman there. Just a FYI, in the AHL, he played 53 games last season with 6 goals and 27 points and was a +13. So he's, for the most part, sounds like defensively steady enough as like a third pairing guy. Moving on, for the last guy on my list here, we have Keith Kincaid, who signed, who was playing with the New Jersey Devils until he was traded to the Columbus Blue Jackets last season. And then he signed with the Montreal Canadiens, a 1-year deal worth $1.75 million. The Canadiens really needed another backup goaltender because, Carey Price had to basically win all their games almost last season. Now, he's 29 years old, and he's from Farmingville, New York. He's 6'3", 195 pounds, 29 years old. I think I mentioned that already. His stats for last season, in 41 games for New Jersey, he had a 3.36 goals against and a .891 save percentage. He had a down year. Didn't play any games for Columbus. But the season before that, in New Jersey in 2017-18, he had a .913 save percentage. And the year before that, it was .916. So it sounds like he's capable of more. And at age 29, he still probably has more to give and better than their option that they had than Montreal had last year in the backup corner. There you have it. There's lots of other depth players that were signed in this and that, but I thought these were the most notables that were left over that I hadn't done yet. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.